Orochimaru's attempt to restrain the Ninetales didn't go as planned. Instead of locking the beast away, the seal faltered, leaving Naruto's body and soul exposed to the hatred and malice of the fox. From this failure, a new terror was born. The King of Curses had awakened within Naruto. The second stage of the Chunin exams was meant to be a survival challenge, teams gathering the two necessary scrolls, Heaven and Earth, and making their way to the central tower. Team 7, with Sasuke Uchiha reluctantly leading, was progressing surprisingly well. Much to Naruto's irritation, they'd already managed to take down two opposing squads, earning themselves 3 Earth Scrolls in total. But things went downhill quickly. Just after Naruto slipped away for a quick break, he was sent flying by a powerful gust of wind. Out of the shadows emerged a sinister sound ninja, his grin twisted with sadistic delight as he targeted Sasuke and Sakura. Naruto, however, wasn't so easily disposed of. With his quick thinking and shadow clones, he managed to slay the massive serpent that tried to devour him, then rushed back to fight alongside his team against their eerie opponent. The clash escalated further with Naruto's involvement. His movements were sharper, his strikes harder, fueled unconsciously by the Ninetales chakra. He darted around, fists and kunai tearing into the snake-like foe. The ground trembled from their collisions, shockwaves rippling through the trees. From the sidelines, Sakura struggled to breathe beneath the suffocating pressure of the sound ninja's chakra and the unnerving darkness radiating from Naruto. Sasuke's eyes tracked every movement, but his body refused to move, paralyzed by the overwhelming energy. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes at the blonde, irritation flaring as each exchange left his hands burning, the fox's chakra searing like acid. His movements are improving. This brat shouldn't have much ninjutsu skill if Kabuto's reports are right. He's a loudmouth, reckless, like Jiraiya was in his youth, strike first, think later. Killing him would be easy. Yet, the longer we fight, the more he adapts. Perhaps his bloodline won't allow him to remain talentless. The Sannin decided he'd wasted enough time. He needed to subdue the beast within Naruto, mark Sasuke, and leave before Konoha's ANBU inevitably arrived to investigate the massive chakra disturbance. Naruto tried to dodge. He truly did. He could see the pale, snake-like figure closing in, but his body refused to keep up. No matter how hard he willed it, Orochimaru was simply too fast. The frustration was worse than any defeat at Sasuke's hands. A palm, glowing with chakra and marked with elemental symbols, slammed into Naruto's stomach, right over the fox's seal. Agony ripped through him. His eyes widened, his body crumpled, and darkness clawed at the edge of his vision. He would have plummeted to the forest floor if not for Sakura's desperate act, throwing a kunai that snagged his jacket on a branch, halting his fall. As consciousness faded, the last sound he heard was Sakura's voice shouting for Sasuke to help. Inside, the Ninetales chakra had been forcefully severed from Naruto's own, leaving him with nothing but his raw energy. For the first time since his birth, his chakra was wholly his, and it twisted violently within him. Imbalance breeds disaster. That was the very lesson of the second exam. Too much earth without heaven, or too much body without mind, and one fails. In another reality, Naruto would have contained the yang half of the fox, life and vitality. But in this timeline, fate had dealt him the yin half, brimming with malice and spiritual weight, yet lacking physical stability. This imbalance had always crippled him. His hyperactivity, his poor chakra control, his struggle with even basic jutsu. It all stemmed from constantly, unknowingly, siphoning excess yin and trying to balance it with his lacking yang. But Orochimaru had overlooked something. The Shinigami, the Reaper who consumes all souls, did not tolerate interference. The dead demon seal had only one proper key. Should anyone else tamper with it, a safeguard would trigger. And so, when Orochimaru's jutsu struck, the seal retaliated. 7 taels worth of chakra began to merge back with the yin half sealed within Naruto, twisting his very being, branding him with a curse that cared nothing for whether he lived or perished. Leaving behind 2 taels worth of raw energy, hatred, selfishness, arrogance, all of it was forced into Naruto. That corruption seeped through his body, pushing it past its natural balance, flooding his mind and spirit until yin and yang clashed. His very soul, the foundation of every shinobi's strength, was forced to resist. In doing so, it unleashed the negative emotions and dark energy his body had been rejecting since birth. Naruto had no idea. No one did. But he had been born carrying incredible potential. For years, it had been locked away, buried beneath the imbalance of his chakra. The trees swayed violently, clouds pulled back across the sky, and animals fled into burrows and hollows as if the forest itself understood what was happening. The world seemed to resist his transformation. A rebirth was underway. Naruto's body was correcting what had been broken for 12 long years. Like a diver finally gasping for air after being underwater too long, he was breathing in power for the first time. His true birthright stirred, threatening to reshape the balance of the world itself. Meanwhile, Team 7 had barely managed to hold their ground. Sakura Haruna was locked in a desperate fight against 3 enemy ninja, holding them off with what little strength she had left. Her opponents toyed with her, mocking her while refusing to finish the battle quickly. She brushed her hand through her now short hair. It had taken so long to grow it out, only for that loud-mouthed sound Kanoichi to force her to cut it off. The insult still burned, taunted about vanity while that girl's own hair looked dry and split. Really, would conditioner have been so hard to use? Shaking her head, Sakura's eyes flicked toward her teammates. Both were down. Sasuke was burning with fever, and Naruto's body wouldn't stop thrashing, which made hiding nearly impossible. Another irritation. Even like this, he's causing trouble. I swear I'll smack him once this is over. She fumed silently, hurling a handful of shuriken at the sound trio. Ha! Is that all you've got, you weak little brat? Sneered the one with spiked hair and unnatural arms. Sakura didn't care to remember their real names. To her, they were just ugly girl, freaky arms, and bandage face. Maybe Naruto's way of nicknaming people was starting to rub off on her. Still, the insults didn't matter. Her stamina was gone. She'd been awake for 2 straight days, tending her team, setting traps, and now battling nonstop. Her reserves were dry, her breathing ragged. Please, one of you just get up, she begged inwardly, clutching her last kunai tight. The one wrapped in bandages stepped forward. This is your last chance. Hand over Sasuke Uchiha and we'll spare you and the blonde. Dasu, why waste time? Let's kill her already. The spiky-haired one stopped mid-sentence. A massive surge of chakra erupted into the clearing. The air turned heavy. Everyone froze. Team 10 hidden in the brush, Team Guy in the treetops, the sound trio, even Sakura, all of them felt the wave hit. Their skin prickled with dread. It was suffocating, monstrous, larger than anything they'd ever experienced. Even the sound ninja, used to the crushing presence of Orochimaru, trembled under this suffocating power. Silence fell. No one moved. Breathing alone felt like a struggle under the weight of the energy pressing down on them. But it wasn't just them. Across the entire forest, shinobi felt it. For a heartbeat, every vision blurred as a shadow with 4 burning crimson eyes flashed before them. It was only an instant, but it left every chakra sensor reeling. Something primal told them a predator had been born. In his office, the third Hokage jolted upright, instincts roaring. That darkness, it was too familiar, like the night of the Nine-Tails attack. His eyes turned sharply toward the forest of death. Had the beast been released again, his guard was already being mobilized. Far across the village, Jirya, perched in a tree by the hot springs, snapped his pen in half as his chakra flared on instinct. He barely had time to register the danger before the Kanoichi in the springs caught his presence and leapt to punish the pervert. Elsewhere, Kakashi Hadake's book slipped from his hand. Might Guy toppled out of his handstand. Asuma Sarutobi dropped his cigarette. Kurenai nearly stumbled in the street. ANBU raced through rooftops, and the barrier team struggled not to faint under the pressure. Something terrifying had awakened. Across the hidden leaf, Shinobi felt the shockwave of a chakra flare, so massive, so heavy, it was impossible to ignore. If they knew the source, most would faint on the spot. Because that terrifying energy belonged to none other than the village clown, Naruto Uzumaki. In the center of the clearing, Sakura was the first to realize what had happened. Even though she had already collapsed twice in less than a minute, she managed to lift her head just enough to see Naruto. A storm of chakra was erupting around him, thick and violent. It burned a deep crimson, so dense it looked almost black. It clung to his body like living fire, and her brain could form only one thought that made any sense. "Naruto," she whispered hoarsely, watching as the surge began to settle. Her voice carried through the battlefield. Every shinobi from the leaf turned wide eyes toward the unconscious blonde, while the sound trio shifted uneasily at her words. The overwhelming pressure disappeared just as suddenly as it had appeared. Everyone sucked in desperate breaths, wiping the sweat that had gathered on their brows. Some, especially those who knew Naruto best, dismissed it as some bizarre fluke and tried to bury the unease gnawing at them. Until Naruto stood. The air itself seemed to bend around him. It was as if the world waited on his command, eager to respond to his will. The sensation was primal. Every shinobi felt the same instinctive fear, like prey realizing a predator had crept up behind them, teeth bared and dripping. Then just as quickly, the aura vanished. Sakura swallowed hard, her voice low and hesitant. "Naruto, are you all right?" She spoke carefully, not forgetting the three enemies lurking nearby. Naruto inhaled slowly, eyes opening to take in the scene. In a heartbeat, he grasped every detail, something that had never come easily to him before. His mind was clear. Too clear, he saw everything. Two squads observing from the sidelines, one perched in the trees above, Lee's team, and another group hidden in the bushes, his classmates, all drenched in sweat. Shikamaru, in particular, looked like he'd just glimpsed death itself. Sakura was standing between him and the sound shinobi, her body battered and chakra nearly gone, but still refusing to step aside. She was trying to shield him, and even Sasuke, from enemies she had no hope of defeating. "Why your eyes?" Sakura gasped, her voice trembling. Then she shouted in disbelief, "Your whiskers, they're gone, and there are markings on your face." Everyone's attention snapped to Naruto. His once bright blue eyes were now burning crimson, radiating disdain so sharp it was like he viewed them as insects waiting to be crushed. The presence in his gaze was kingly, terrifying. His whisker marks had melted away, reshaping into dark tattoos that crawled across his face and body. And beneath his natural eyes, sealed shut, rested a second pair. None of them knew the truth. The whiskers had been nothing but scars of the Nine-Tails imbalance. Now that his body was in harmony, they had disappeared, leaving behind something far more ominous. Naruto blinked at Sakura, his mind spinning. Every sound around him was amplified, their heartbeats pounding like drums, the flow of chakra through their veins, the stench of fear heavy in the air. If he focused, he could almost trace which jutsu had been used moments ago. It was intoxicating. It was overwhelming. It felt like he had been reborn. Then came the laugh, a wild, unrestrained cackle that split the silence. Eh-heh-heh-eh-ha-ha-ha-ha. With a leap, Naruto shot into the canopy of the Forest of Death, landing on a branch high above. He tore the upper half of his orange jumpsuit away, bearing a lean, scarred, and powerful frame to the world. Sunlight spilled across his skin as his hands curled into clawed fists. "My old body was pathetic, boring," he roared, arms wide open as though greeting a new world. "Where are the crowds, the women? Ha! What a glorious time to live, men, women, children crawling like vermin everywhere. Magnificent, a perfect age for slaughter." The sound genin froze in terror. One of them, his voice shaking, forced himself to yell up into the branches. "Hey, you insane freak, we're not." No one truly caught it, not even a blur. But before anyone realized what happened, Naruto had already crossed the distance. His palm crashed against the sound ninja's face, driving his head mercilessly into the dirt. With brutal force, he dragged the struggling enemy across the mud, tearing through roots and snapping debris until finally hurling the broken body into the tree line. The sound shinobi's frame smashed through wood like a living blade, bones shattering, organs rupturing from the sheer violence of the throw, before collapsing lifelessly against the ground like a discarded ragdoll. The only ones sharp enough to track his movement were Neji and Rock Lee, both wide-eyed. Just hours ago, the blonde was barely able to follow Lee's slowest pace, yet now he matched Lee's unshackled speed with terrifying ease. "We need to leave now." That was the single, urgent thought racing through both Neji and Shikamaru's minds as they quickly reassessed Naruto's danger level. What they saw terrified them. The down-sound shinobi lay sprawled in the mud, chest faintly rising and falling, blood soaking through his bandages. To anyone else, he might as well have been dead. Sakura stared in disbelief. In fact, every leaf ninja present was speechless. That clumsy boy who always relied on too many clones, he had done that. Naruto wiped his blood-stained hand on his pants, his crimson eyes locking on Sakura. Pathetic. Sakura, you were struggling with him, he asked, almost bored, as if the fight hadn't even been worth the effort. I could have handled him if it was just one-on-one, she stammered, fear and shock mixing in her voice. But the others came at me too, they were after Sasuke, she quickly added, then glanced at the remaining sound genin with sudden fire in her eyes. Whatever's going on, Naruto, kick their asses. Cha, Naruto's gaze shifted back to the two enemies, then to Sakura. Seriously, those weaklings. His tone dripped with disappointment as he casually pointed toward them. With his enhanced vision, he read their chakra flow, density, and control. It was laughable. They weren't worth his time. Then his attention turned to the surrounding area, his voice cutting through the tension. What about you lot? Planning to hide in the shadows all day like rats? Or maybe you're waiting to gang up on us and take our scrolls? His hands slipped into his pockets as his multiple eyes scanned the treeline, one fixed on Team 9, the other on Team 10. The hidden leaf genin froze in shock. He had known they were there all along. Slowly, Team 10 stepped out, Shikamaru's forehead damp with sweat. That chakra, it wasn't normal. It was suffocating, overflowing with malice. Those eyes, his transformation, we can't underestimate him, not anymore. We were going to step in if Sakura couldn't handle it, Shikamaru said carefully, while Choji and Ino wisely kept silent. Naruto smirked, showing off sharpened canines. How thoughtful of you, Shikamaru, and what about you, Bushy Brow? Planning the same? He asked, shifting his gaze toward Team Guy, who were now in plain view. Before Lee could respond, Neji stepped forward. No, we were only observing, we're leaving. He turned, ready to go, only for the air itself to thicken. The clearing filled with killing intent so heavy it was suffocating. Neji froze, his body refusing to move as cold dread sank into his stomach, as if a blade hovered at his throat. You really thought I'd just let you walk away after watching my teammate get nearly beaten to death, Naruto said, strolling toward them, shoulders squared, hands still tucked lazily in his pockets. His tone was casual, but every word dripped menace. Hand over your scrolls and maybe you'll survive, unless, of course, one of you feels like trading an arm for it. Naruto, stop. They're our allies, our comrades, Sakura pleaded, tugging at his arm desperately. We don't even need their scrolls. The Sound Ninja had won, why don't we just take theirs and go? Before the argument escalated, Zaku, the battered Sound Ninja's partner, finally spoke up, his voice hoarse but steady. We'll withdraw, no fight. Take this as our offering. He set a heaven scroll on the ground, then signaled his team to retreat, dragging their unconscious ally away. Naruto's eyes lingered on them, debating whether to give chase before scoffing. Pathetic. Running away like gutless animals. His lips curled into a sneer as he turned back. Fine, guess you're all off the hook for now. Sakura, let's go wake up Sleeping Beauty. We've got the scroll we need. With a careless grin, he walked away, leaving behind a trembling Team 10 and a shaken Team 9, both silently realizing that the blonde they once underestimated was no longer the same boy. Sakura could only nod, her mind still reeling from how quickly the battle had shifted. A few moments ago, she was nearly convinced they wouldn't survive, but Naruto had torn through the enemy shinobi like it was nothing. She flinched at his blunt command, irritation flashing across her tired face. Turning to the other Leaf Ninja, she forced a polite smile. Hope you managed to get your scrolls, and sorry about Naruto. I don't know what's gotten into him. Anyway, good luck. We'll be going. With that, she jogged after him, frustration mixing with confusion. Naruto's gaze lingered on Sasuke, fixating on the strange mark burned into his teammate's neck. What a filthy curse. It reeks of someone else's chakra forced into his body. Looks like it boosts power and chakra flow, but at a terrible price. Dependence, corruption, mental collapse, it's a leash disguised as a gift. Definitely that snake freak's doing. Makes me wonder what other monstrosities she's cooked up. Not my problem, though. The thoughts passed in less than a heartbeat, his sharpened instincts stitching everything together without him realizing. Behind them, Sakura bit her lip. I really wasn't ready for this exam, I can't keep up with either of them. The Forest of Death had only hammered that truth in harder. 2 hours later, they finally reached the tower. On the way, 3 separate teams had tried to ambush them, only for Naruto to dismantle each one effortlessly. Sakura had long since given up trying to make sense of his sudden strength. She trudged after him, drained to her core, just wanting a warm bath and a soft bed. Sasuke was still out cold. Inside, a riddle written on the wall hinted at heaven and earth. Sakura didn't even bother puzzling it out, her head throbbed too much. Instead, she let Naruto handle it. He skimmed it once, then snorted. Seriously. This is supposed to be a Chunin test. We should have just fought another squad instead of dealing with this nonsense. We need to open both scrolls at the same time. Wait, Naruto. That's reckless, we're in no condition. Sasuke's unconscious, and my chakra is almost gone. It could be Dan. Sakura's protest was cut off when Naruto carelessly tossed Sasuke into her arms. She buckled, nearly collapsing under his weight before letting him drop to the floor with a groan. Her patience with Naruto's new attitude had all but evaporated. Smoke erupted from the opened scrolls, and a familiar silhouette emerged. Their old academy teacher. Naruto didn't even spare him a glance. He simply walked past the fading haze toward the tower interior. Uruka, who had volunteered to guide his former students, had expected them to be beaten up and tired, but alive. With Sasuke's natural talent, Sakura's sharp mind, and Naruto's stubborn willpower, they would have scraped through. But what greeted him was far from anything he could have imagined. The moment the smoke cleared, a suffocating chill gripped Uruka's chest. His blood felt like ice in his veins, sweat breaking across his skin. It was as if something foul and malevolent had seeped into the room. He forced a smile anyway, but it faltered the moment he took in their condition. Sakura's once long pink hair was hacked short, her outfit torn and stained with dirt. Bruises and cuts marred her pale skin, one eye swollen shut, her nose caked with dried blood. Sasuke lay unconscious on the ground, fists clenched into the earth. And Naruto wasn't there. Or at least, not the boy Uruka remembered. A crushing presence pressed against Uruka's senses, and he spun around just in time to glimpse a monstrous shadow looming behind him, 4 glowing red eyes piercing the gloom. His breath caught in his throat, heart hammering painfully. The next blink showed Naruto standing there, but Uruka's body screamed otherwise. The chakra pouring from him was wrong, dark, suffocating, drenched in killing intent. It wasn't the Nine Tails, yet it felt just as terrifying. For a moment, Uruka was back on that dreadful night 12 years ago, staring into the face of death itself. What the hell happened to Naruto? Uruka thought, frozen in disbelief. His mind scrambled for words, but none came. He didn't even know where to begin. Those extra eyes alone made his head spin. The goofy kid he knew had become unrecognizable. The whisker marks on Naruto's cheeks had shifted and stretched, forming into what looked like a hidden pair of smaller eyes just below his real ones. Strange markings covered his skin, tattoos spiraling across his forehead, down his nose, over his arms, chest, stomach, and legs. Even his body was different. He wasn't the short, scrawny boy anymore. The kid who once barely reached 411 now stood at least 56, almost looking Uruka straight in the eye. His once messy blonde spikes had slicked back, sharper and more intimidating. The bright sapphire eyes were gone, replaced by a deep crimson glow, carrying a look that could only be described as predatory, like a cat who had cornered a helpless bird. And those eyes were locked on Uruka, unblinking. "What's wrong, Uruka? You look like you've seen a ghost." Naruto's voice cut through the silence, his lips twisting into a smirk that only deepened the unease. Uruka's face paled. Forcing a nervous laugh, he rubbed the back of his neck. Oh, nothing, Naruto. Just surprised by your new look, that's all." His instincts screamed at him to get out of there and report to the Hokage immediately. Something about the seal had clearly gone wrong. He tried to steer the situation. "Anyway, I was supposed to explain the meaning of heaven and earth to you, but we should really get Sasuke to the medics. And Naruto, you should see the Hokage. He needs to know what's going on." Naruto acted as if he hadn't heard a word. Hands stuffed in his pockets, he strolled into the tower with the casual air of someone out for a walk in the park. The fact that his teammates were half dead didn't even seem to register. "Uruka-sensei," Sakura's voice rang out, shaky with panic. "That creepy snake woman bit Sasuke. She left a mark on his neck, and Naruto's been acting weird ever since she did something to his stomach." She whispered the last part, worry etched across her face. Uruka checked Sasuke's neck and immediately recognized the curse mark, his eyes widening. He glanced toward Naruto's retreating figure, a growing pit forming in his stomach. Sakura sighed, sinking back against the wall. At least Uruka-sensei was here. He'd figure it out. He had to. Meanwhile, Naruto sat alone in his room, waiting for the second stage of the exam to finish. His gaze lingered on the forest outside, watching the life below with distant eyes. The sight made him reflect, his thoughts spiraling back to the years of his life. The glares, the cold shoulders, the whispered slurs. Every moment of neglect and hate burned through his mind. Sure, Tuchai gave him free ramen sometimes. Sure, the old man Hawkage occasionally looked after him. But were they doing it out of kindness? Or just out of duty, because he carried the fox inside? His team. They were barely more than strangers. Kakashi hadn't taught them much until the Zabuza mission. Sakura and Sasuke wanted nothing to do with him outside of training. They weren't cruel to him, but they didn't respect him either. 12 years. 12 years of being shunned, ignored, despised. The whispers of demon. The parents pulling their children away. The hatred that seeped into every corner of his life. He had never felt a hug, never sat down to a warm meal made by family. No love, no belonging, only hate. So why was he fighting for this village? For people who wanted him gone? Why dream of Hawkage just to earn the recognition of those who cursed his very existence? As the hours dragged on, his mind sharpened and a realization took root. He didn't need their love. He didn't need their approval. He didn't even need them. What he wanted was strength, strength beyond imagination. No, not just strong, the strongest. Strong enough that the world itself would kneel at his name. Strong enough to make villages tremble and bow just to survive his presence. He didn't need love or family. He had survived without it for 12 years. He could survive 1,000 more. His name would echo through history, not as a hero, but as a force no one could stand against. "I'll live for myself," he whispered to the empty room, eyes burning with resolve. "I'll eat when I want. If someone gets in my way, I'll crush them. If they're interesting, I'll play with them. Everything else. Not my problem." It was as if the world itself froze at his words, acknowledging the promise he had just carved into existence. With time to spare, he focused on chakra training, channeling it through his body. It was effortless now, like seeing the world in color after years of staring at static. His control was near perfect, his understanding instinctual. His second pair of eyes took some adjusting, but once he got the hang of them, it was like walking on water, strange at first, but unforgettable once mastered. His body felt stronger, faster, sharper. He was taller, too, no longer the shortest in the class. He finally knew what it felt like to look down on others. He tested his strength, flooding his body with chakra like a seasoned shinobi would. The results shocked even him. His power wasn't just enhanced, it was on a level he hadn't thought possible. His chakra had grown denser, its very color altered. But with it came a drawback: his own body struggled to keep up. Longer limbs, heavier strength. Even something simple as holding a cup of ramen ended with the bowl crushed in his hands. Meanwhile, the village's higher-ups weren't blind to the sudden chakra spike. ANBU filled the tower, monitoring the situation. Jiraiya didn't waste time waiting for coincidence. He rushed to the Hawkage and Kakashi. Together, they met Uruka, whose expression carried a weight none of them wanted to see. "It's Naruto," Uruka said, voice grave. The three strongest leaf shinobi exchanged looks, their eyes narrowing. Uruka swallowed hard. "That surge of chakra, it was him. He's changed. You'll see for yourselves during the prelims. He's in the team's room now if you want to check." Sakura mentioned that the snake woman, likely Orochimaru, did something to his stomach. But right now, Sasuke's mark is the bigger concern. And so they turned their focus to Sasuke. Binding the curse mark with the evil sealing method, they managed to contain its influence. When Sasuke awoke, though groggy, his temper was sharper than before. He admitted his chakra felt wilder, but he was stable for the moment. With Sasuke secured, the three decided to wait until the prelims to witness Naruto's changes firsthand. The next day, when Naruto stepped into the arena, the room shifted. Whispers filled the air. Extra eyes, strange markings, and a suffocating aura of power clung to him like a second skin. The other Jonin stared in disbelief, even those from rival villages unable to hide their unease. Naruto chuckled at Sasuke, whose hateful glare only fueled his laughter. Hiruzen leaned toward Jiraiya. "Have you seen anything like this before?" Jiraiya's face was grim. "No. Those eyes, those markings, it's not any jutsu I know. It feels similar to a curse mark, but it isn't that. If anything, it might be some kind of bloodline limit, but neither Minato nor Kushina had anything even close. Kakashi briefly uncovered his Sharingan, letting the Scarlet Eye observe the blonde carefully. I'd normally ask a Hyuga to verify, but his chakra feels unusually steady. This transformation of his, it's radiating almost the same presence as when he taps into the Nine Tails. Hiruzen stroked his beard thoughtfully, his sharp mind already piecing together possibilities. We'll learn soon enough what this awakening has truly done for him. Something tells me these matches are about to become far more entertaining. His gaze lingered on the young genin below, and both Kakashi and Jiraiya silently agreed. Hidden among the shadows, Orochimaru narrowed his eyes on Naruto. Kyukuku, seems the boy gained himself a little upgrade. No matter. Sasuke-kun will be mine soon enough, and that decrepit fool won't be able to stop me. A crooked grin tugged at his lips. Down with the other genin, Naruto was laughing to himself while Sasuke sulked with his usual scowl. Oi, you know that creepy chakra of mine is sealed away, right? So why are you still pouting like someone kicked your puppy? Naruto teased, feigning a mocking frown. Sasuke's glare sharpened, but he stayed quiet. Sakura, on the other hand, rolled her eyes, already exhausted from Naruto's constant jabs. Ever since they'd arrived at the tower, he'd done nothing but needle her and Sasuke. Their yelling only fueled his amusement, and physical attempts at shutting him up had all failed miserably. Life was tough when the class clowns suddenly became untouchable. The third Hokage appeared before the assembled Chunin hopefuls, pipe in hand, his back straight with authority. "Congratulations on making it this far," he said gravely. Naruto smirked at the old man before quickly zoning out of the long speech. He understood the gist. This was a stand-in for real war, a show for clients and villages. They were being paraded as future weapons. That was all he needed to hear. When the proctor asked if anyone wanted to forfeit, the boy with the info cards quit despite being perfectly fine. Naruto rolled his eyes, chalking it up to cowardice. Stronger than most genin here, yet he bilayed. Naruto couldn't be bothered to think about him again. As the lecture dragged on, Naruto finally cut in. Oi, old man, we get it already. Can we move this along before I fall asleep? Let's get the weaklings out of the way. It won't even take me a minute. Arms crossed, he leaned casually against the wall, meeting every eye in the room with a daring stare. Unyouthful, damn it, Naruto, what the hell's that supposed to mean? Troublesome, watch it, brat. A voice rang out, dripping with irritation. Ha, you the dead last, talking big like that. You must have smacked your head during the last round. I still can't believe they let you pass. They giving forehead protectors to anyone these days? Kiba sneered as he stepped forward, dressed in his gray parka, dark shinobi pants, and his little white pup perched proudly on his head. Naruto blinked in mock surprise. Oh, Kiba, you're still alive. I figured the forest would have chewed you up by now. Guess Hinata and Shino had to carry your useless hide. Honestly, it's insulting being ranked on the same level as you. You're full of it, Naruto. You're a genin like the rest of us. Hope you don't end up against me and Akamaru will crush you flat, right, boy? Arf, barked the pup confidently. Naruto chuckled. Cute. But come on, Kiba, comparing you to me is like comparing a mosquito to a dragon. We're not even playing the same game. With that, he pushed off the wall and strolled away, ignoring Kiba's heated glare. The surrounding jonin exchanged unimpressed looks, some shaking their heads. Kakashi pinched the bridge of his nose, aware that Naruto's antics reflected poorly on him. Do you really understand what this is about, Naruto? Hiruzen asked, half amused. Duh, you fossil! Naruto shot back, earning angry hisses from the Leaf Nin and a chuckle from Jiraiya up in the stands. We're a spectacle for the geezers. Too many of us, so you've got to trim the herd. You just take 100 words to say what I summed up in 20. The disrespect was overlooked in favor of the realization that Naruto, of all people, had actually grasped the point while barely listening. Impressive, Hiruzen muttered, nodding. Then I leave it in your hands. With that, he stepped aside for the sickly proctor. The man gave a short cough before speaking. I am Hate. Everyone looked to the monitor. Names began flashing until Sasuke's matched with someone named Yori. Naruto gave his teammate a smirk and jabbed his arm. Sasuke, don't embarrass yourself. Show them what an Uchiha can do. Don't you dare lose to a no-name. Sasuke said nothing, but his slight nod was enough before he hopped down to the arena. Kakashi leaned close, his single eye curving in amusement. "And why's that?" Naruto nearly jumped out of his skin, not realizing his sensei had snuck up. "Holy crap, how do you do that? Anyway, it's simple. I don't want him losing before I get to beat him myself. I still owe him from the academy, and his first real defeat's gonna be against me, and we're not counting that snake freak." His voice lowered, eyes narrowing at Orochimaru. Kakashi hummed in thought. "So it's a rivalry, interesting." "Well, you heard him, Sasuke. Sakura Naruto, let's move to the stands," Kakashi said cheerfully, heading up the stairs. Soon the Uchiha and his opponent faced off. Sasuke ended the fight swiftly with his Sharingan and precise taijutsu. Naruto clapped obnoxiously, voice carrying across the room. "Woo! That's what I'm talking about, Sasuke. Knew that bug wouldn't last. Everyone else here is weak except Sakura." His shouting earned plenty of glares. Kakashi chuckled beside him while Sakura did her best to blend in with Kurenai's team. The matches continued, Naruto paying little attention until the clash between the bun-haired leaf girl and the sand Kunoichi began. A loud clang echoed through the arena as metal hit the ground. "No way I missed, impossible," Tenten thought, stunned. Her accuracy was flawless, she never missed. Yet her opponent stood smug, untouched. She did something, but how? Temari smirked, voice sharp with mockery. "What was that, a warm-up? Or are your nerves wrecking your aim? Honestly, I thought I'd at least break a sweat. Guess not. If that's your best, this will be over quick." Naruto, now watching intently from above, narrowed his eyes. Weird Lee always said Tenten's aim could slice wings off a fly at 300 feet. So how did she miss? Temari did something with that fan. A technique. But what kind of chakra was that? He kept his suspicions to himself. Meanwhile, Tenten's teammates shouted encouragement, Lee's booming voice drowning out the crowd. "Youth, Ten, show her your fire," Lee yelled, waving his arms. Neji silently observed, though even he was caught off guard by Temari's control. Tenten steadied her breathing. "Focus, don't let her shake you. That fan, it has to be the key." "Fine then, let's see how you handle this." She darted wide, circling Temari before leaping into the air, pulling out a scroll. Unfurling it, she spun it faster and faster, until it formed a cocoon of steel around her. From the swirling cocoon of smoke, a storm of weapons burst outward, kunai, shuriken, and blades shooting in every direction. A large portion of them zeroed in on Temari. Yet she didn't even flinch. Instead, a small smirk tugged at her lips as she unfolded her massive fan. With a single graceful swing, a surge of wind blasted outward, scattering every weapon like dry leaves. Heh, so that's her game. It's already over for Tenten. You might as well call this one now, Bushy Brow Sensei, before she gets hurt even worse. She doesn't stand a chance. "Oh," Kakashi raised an eyebrow at Naruto's confident tone. "Care to explain to the rest of us what you mean?" He gestured casually toward the gathered squads, teams 10, 9, and 8, their instructors, and even Sakura who had just appeared, while his single visible eye turned back to his blonde student. Naruto sighed at all the eyes on him but still gave his analysis. "What I meant is that Temari's not just swinging a fan, she's channeling wind chakra into it. The currents she controls create a barrier, almost like a swirling wall of air or a mini tornado. That shield bends the trajectory of Tenten's weapons, knocking them off course before they can ever touch her. Unless Tenten can blitz through and overwhelm her in close combat, which she can't, this fight is already decided." Kakashi's eye crinkled in amusement at Naruto's sharp observation. "Heh, so he's finally using that dictionary I gave him. He's becoming more and more like you every day, Minato-sensei." Pride warmed his chest as he thought of how far Naruto had come, the boy who was once the class clown now breaking down combat with clarity and precision, much like his father once did. With a soft ruffle of Naruto's spiky blonde hair, Kakashi added, "Nicely done, Naruto. You're spot on. What Temari's doing is converting her chakra into wind release. Just like how I use earth and lightning, or how Sasuke uses his fireball. Wind is one of the rarest chakra elements, but we've got one of the best wind specialists here, our very own chain-smoking Asuma." He waved lazily at his fellow Jonin. Ignoring the heated scolding Ino was already giving her teacher for never bringing up elemental affinities. "Don't worry, you two," Kakashi continued to his team. After this match, I'll get you chakra paper so we can test what your natural elements are. Meanwhile, on the field, Tenten landed hard, her weapons clattering uselessly around her. Her last scroll fluttered down beside her feet. No way, she deflected everything I threw, not a single hit. What's in that fan of hers? She muttered in disbelief. Temery chuckled darkly. Take a good look. This is the first moon. She tapped the purple symbol near the edge of her fan. There are two more. Once you see all three, you'll know the match is finished. Tenten grit her teeth, frustration boiling inside her. Lee's voice didn't help either. Stay calm, Tenten. Don't let her control the pace. Maintain your focus. Stay sharp. I know, Lee, I know, but this is slipping away fast. She clenched her fists. I was saving this for the finals, not the prelims, but guess I don't have a choice. This has to work. Tenten quickly pulled out two smaller scrolls from her pouch and set them on either side of her, aligned carefully on the ground. With swift hand signs, she activated her next technique. Rising twin dragons. Smoke burst from the scrolls, spiraling upward and taking the shape of two massive dragons circling her. With a powerful kick off the ground, she launched herself high into the air. The swirling smoke unraveled into scrolls marked with glowing symbols. As she passed her hands over them, weapon after weapon materialized. Kunai, blades, needles, throwing knives, raining down toward Temery with a relentless fury. But Temery still didn't move. She simply opened her fan wider, revealing another purple circle. Second moon, she declared confidently. With another effortless swing, a gale roared out, sweeping every single weapon aside as though they were nothing. Tenten's scrolls crumpled to the ground as she landed nearby, panting heavily. I'm not finished yet, she shouted, leaping into the air once again. Strings of chakra extended from her fingertips, wrapping around her scattered weapons. Like a puppeteer, she pulled them up into the air and flung them toward Temery in one desperate final barrage. This time, I've got her for sure. But once more, Temery's fan carved through the air, not only scattering the storm of weapons but hurling Tent herself into the air and slamming her onto the ground amidst the sharp metal littering the arena floor. Damn it, not again, Tenten cursed, groaning in pain. Third moon, Temery announced with a satisfied smirk. With a single sweeping motion, her fan and body vanished from sight. What? Where did she go? Tenten's eyes darted around wildly. She disappeared. Yoo-hoo, behind you! Temery's mocking voice rang out. Tenten spun to see her rival floating gracefully in midair, balanced effortlessly on her giant fan as though weightless. Temery descended like a feather and landed exactly where she had been standing before. Her eyes gleamed dangerously. Now it's my turn. Wine Scythe Jutsu? With one mighty swing, a torrent of slicing wind tore through the arena, dragging Tenten into its swirling vortex. Caught inside Temery's trap, Tenten was helpless. The howling wind surrounded her, sharp and unyielding, cutting at her skin like invisible blades. Pain exploded across her body as she screamed, but her voice was drowned out by the roar of the storm. It seemed endless, until finally her body gave way, and she felt herself plummeting, falling, crunch. Tenten gasped as every ounce of air was knocked from her lungs, her body slamming against the cold steel of the massive fan. Her back arched unnaturally, sharp agony shooting through her spine, leaving her briefly numb before a wet cough brought up blood mixed with spinal fluid. The outcome was clear. Raising his hand toward Temery, Hayate made the announcement. Winner of the fifth preliminary bout, Temery of the Sand. Temery flicked her hair back, eyes sharp with arrogance. If this is the best Konoha can send out, then the rest of these exams will be a breeze. That wasn't even a fight, it was dull. From above, Guy's normally bright expression dimmed as he watched his student crumble so effortlessly. To deflect every single strike with such precision, that girl's skill is terrifying. A true prodigy. Temery's lips curved into something cruel. With a sudden sweep of her giant fan, she hurled Tenten's limp body toward the mound of gleaming, razor-edged weapons without a shred of hesitation. Life or death didn't matter to her. But before Tenten could crash into certain death, a streak of green blurred across the arena. Rock Lee caught her in his arms, teeth clenched under the weight, and the fury twisting his usually cheerful face. His eyes locked on Temery, burning with outrage. Nice reflexes, Temery sneered. Lee's voice was low and trembling with anger. She fought you with everything she had. To treat her like trash after her effort, after showing you the respect of a true shinobi, is disgraceful. We are supposed to honor each other as comrades of allied villages. Gee, spare me your lecture. Allies, honor, don't make me laugh. Take that worthless baggage and get out of my sight. Temari slammed her fan against the floor, dismissing him like dirt. Lee, don't! Neji's sharp tone cut through the air. But Lee was already moving. His body blurred as he launched forward, faster than most Chunin could track, vengeance driving him forward. Leaf Hurricane, he roared, spinning into a whirlwind kick aimed to break through anything in his path. The strike had enough force to splinter an ironwood tree, yet instead of flesh, his foot met solid steel. The crash echoed as Temari's fan absorbed the blow, sending dust, kunai, and shards of metal clattering across the arena. Lee's eyes widened in disbelief. What? How did you? Temari smirked. You fight exactly as you look, loud, reckless, and hopelessly simple. You, Lee growled, preparing to rush again, only for a firm chop to land on his head. Foolish boy, Guy cried, pulling him back. Do you wish to be thrown out before you've shown the world the flames of your youth? Tears streamed dramatically down his cheeks as he held his trembling fist to his heart. Lee mirrored his teacher's emotion, eyes watering as guilt washed over him. Guy-sensei, forgive me, I only wanted to defend Tenten's spirit which this unyouthful cow trampled on. He broke down into sobs, leaping into his sensei's arms. The bizarre image of two green-clad muscle men clinging to each other made everyone else sweat drop in unison. Temari's temper spiked. Unyouthful, cow! She raised her fan, chakra gathering for a punishing gust. I'll shred you both, but she froze. A vision of sand closing in, crushing her alive, flashed through her mind. Killing intent, cold and suffocating, wrapped around her. Her body stiffened instinctively. Temari, Gaara's calm, icy tone cut through the tension. Enough, you've already won. Don't waste time with trash. Guy ignored the murderous aura entirely, his hand firm on Lee's shoulder as he looked Gaara dead in the eye. Hehe-san Shinobi, a word of advice. This boy is far stronger than you think. Best be ready. The uneasy silence weighed heavy. From the sidelines, Kiba muttered to Hinata while Akamaru whimpered in his jacket. Man, I'd hate to fight them, they're monsters. Hinata nodded nervously, her stutter barely audible. Why yes, they're incredibly strong. Her pale eyes drifted toward Naruto. But not as strong as him. Being near Naruto-kun feels like standing at the base of an unscalable mountain. No matter how high I climb, I'll never reach the summit. A faint blush colored her cheeks as she watched his broad back. Naruto's grin widened as he watched the brutality unfold. His blood boiled with excitement, battle lust clawing at him. Temari's wind scythe had lit a spark in him. He couldn't wait to learn more from Asuma, maybe even spar with her. As Temari strode back to her brothers, Naruto's gaze briefly lingered on her swaying hips before he shook it off, his hand clenching the railing so hard it cracked beneath his grip. His chakra flared, bloodlust spilling out, shattering the stone around him as the ground trembled under the weight of his anticipation. Naruto suddenly felt a fist tap against the side of his head, not enough to hurt, but firm enough to snap him back to reality. What's with you, Naruto? Cut it out, you're scaring Akamaru. Sakura's voice carried a sharp edge as she gestured toward Kiba's Ninken, but it wasn't just Akamaru, the entire group of genin looked shaken. Kiba was trying to look tough, but his eyes betrayed him. Ino had dropped to her knees, clutching her chest as if she couldn't breathe. Choji's snack bag slipped from his hands, his skin going pale. Shikamaru was sweating bullets, looking like he might collapse any second, and Shino had almost disappeared completely into the folds of his jacket. The only odd one out was Hinata. Her face glowed with admiration, eyes fixed on Naruto's chest and abs, and he could swear she might have gotten a tiny nosebleed. Ah, sorry, Sakura-chan. Guess I didn't notice they were too frail to handle just a taste of my chakra. But hey, you're the strongest of this bunch, so they should be thanking you for bringing me back to my senses. Naruto smirked, jerking a thumb toward the other rookies. Sakura's brow twitched before she smacked him on the head again, emerald eyes flashing. Naruto, that little bit of chakra nearly shook this whole place apart. You cracked the ground and walls behind you. Yeah, I've got to agree with Sakura on this one. Kakashi chimed in casually, eye curved in that infuriating smile of his. What you just let out was enough chakra to fill the reserves of 4 Jonin. But hey, what can I say? I only train the finest genin in the village. Soon to be Chunin, too. No wonder the others can't keep up. He ruffled Naruto's and Sakura's hair, ignoring the glares from the other Jonin in the stands. Sakura immediately went feral, swatting his hand away and screeching about her already messy hair. Naruto just scowled. Can Naruto Uzumaki Koff and Kiba Inuzuka come down for the 6th preliminary match? The proctor wheezed out. Looks like we missed Shikamaru's fight. Oh well, your turn, Naruto. Don't hold back, Kakashi said with his lazy cheer. Go show that mud who's boss, Naruto. Team 7's the strongest in this whole exam. Sakura shouted, fist raised, fire blazing in her eyes. Kiba laughed as he vaulted over the railing, landing smoothly with Akamaru by his side. Heh, lucky us, Akamaru, we pulled the dead last. This'll be over quick. Naruto descended the stairs at his own pace, hands linked behind his head, his face carrying nothing but boredom. Look at him, Akamaru, he's stalling 'cause he's scared. Hey, idiot, the fight's down here. Kiba barked, wide-eyed as Naruto ignored him completely, walking across the arena instead, climbing another set of stairs until he reached the section in front of the Sand siblings and their teacher. He stopped directly in front of Gaara, shrugging off the boy's killing intent as if it were nothing more than a cool breeze on a summer day. In fact, he looked like he was enjoying it. Yo, Temari, right? How about after I win this match, you and I grab some lunch? Or maybe spar a little. You can show me some tips on that wind-style chakra of yours. Naruto said with a grin, leaving Temari and half the stadium stunned by his boldness. What's with this guy? He brushes off Gaara's aura like it's nothing, ignores the match call and then just asks me out. Either he's insane or he's insanely strong. Dogboy swore he was dead last, but looking at him now, he's different. Not bad-looking either with those muscles and tattoos. And those extra eyes, he's definitely changed since before the exams. I need to figure this out. Temari thought, narrowing her gaze. She crossed her arms, analyzing him before answering. First, what do I get if you win? Second, you do realize I'm the Kazekij's daughter, right? Third, why do you want my help if there's a chance we'll be fighting each other later? Naruto ticked the points off on his fingers. 1, you'll get training time with the strongest genin, soon-to-be Chunin, and best-looking shinobi in the land. 2, I don't care who your father is. I just want to learn from you, the rest is a bonus. 3, whether I fight you or anyone else, it won't matter. No one here can beat me, not first match, not last. I'm walking out the winner. Truth is, I just want that wind scythe technique of hers. She could throw herself off the Hokage monument for all I care. Naruto thought but kept to himself. You know what? Fine. But here's my condition. You can't let me see you take a clean hit. Blocking or deflecting is fine, but if you get tagged even once, the deal's off. And what the hell are the 3 Bs? Temari replied, still shocked at how little he cared about her status. For a split second, she felt a flash of killing intent from another part of the arena, but it vanished just as quickly, so she ignored it and kept her attention on the four-eyed blonde. If nothing else, I can use this chance to get more info for the invasion. And well, he's not the worst thing to look at. Naruto's grin widened. Better start thinking about what you're teaching me, desert flower, 'cause dog breath down there won't land a single blow. And the 3 Bs, beautiful, brutal, and blonde, that's you. He winked before leaping back into the arena, landing with a heavy thud. Finally, we can start. Kiba ready. Naruto ready? Hate rasped, receiving nods from both. All right, begin. Naruto tilted his head, eyes never leaving Kiba. You might as well forfeit now, Kiba, before you embarrass yourself. Funny, I was about to say the exact same thing, Naruto. You've gotten taller, maybe a bit stronger, even grown a new set of eyes. But don't get ahead of yourself. You're not hot stuff and you'll never be Hokage. Forget about your little dreams and dates because I'm ending this in one move. Kiba declared, crouching low as his palms touched the ground, gathering chakra in the traditional stance. Beast mimicry, 4-legged style. His chakra surged into his arms and legs, nails hardening into thick, razor-sharp claws capable of ripping through steel or flesh, his entire body surging with power. Stay back, Akamaru. This won't take long. With a howl, Kiba shot forward like a bullet, launching himself high into the air before diving down at Naruto, leaving Akamaru growling anxiously behind. Naruto calmly ducked beneath the savage swipe meant to tear his head off. He slipped past another hook with a smirk, then snatched Kiba's elbow mid-swing, locking him in place. With his free hand, Naruto hammered 2 crushing punches into Kiba's side, driving the air from his lungs. The force echoed through the stadium like detonations, shaking the crowd. But Naruto wasn't finished. He yanked Kiba's hood forward, choking him by the strings before knotting them around his head. Spinning him like a ragdoll, Naruto booted him straight toward Akamaru, sending him tumbling in the dirt, wheezing for air. Heh, is this all you've got, Kiba? Pathetic. At this rate, maybe I should claim the title of Inuzuka heir myself. Your mother must be embarrassed watching her son make a fool of the clan. Speaking of family, how's your sister Hana doing these days? Still patching up animals? I'll be sure to drop you and that mutt off after this match, assuming you're still breathing. Naruto mocked, rubbing his chin as though seriously considering the idea. Kiba clawed desperately at the tangled strings while Akamaru bit through them, freeing him. Gulping down air, sweat beading on his brow, Kiba ripped off the hood, his brown mane falling wild as his furious eyes locked on Naruto's smug grin. Show him, Naruto. That loser doesn't stand a chance. The future Hokage is right there. Sakura screamed from the stands, nearly toppling over the railing until Kakashi casually pulled her back by her collar. Meanwhile, Hinata's pale eyes darted nervously. Kiba's my teammate, but Naruto-kun, my heart belongs to him. Her inner war between loyalty and love raged, but years of hidden affection easily outweighed months of duty. Her cheeks flushed as her heart made its choice. Kiba shoved Akamaru aside and rose to his feet. That's it, Naruto. No more holding back. You insulted me, my clan, and my family. You've gone too far. His fists trembled with fury, chakra leaking out in unstable waves. Naruto laughed darkly at the pitiful killing intent rolling off Kiba. Compared to Orochimaru or Zabuza, it was like a raindrop against a storm. I wasn't even trying. I only used a fraction of my strength, and you're already this rattled. Thanks for proving how weak you are, Kiba. Consider yourself my test dummy. Honestly, I'm disappointed. It only takes about 15% of my power to break you. But I'll give you a chance. Go ahead, use everything you've got, chakra, tools, even that flea-ridden mutt. Because if you don't, you'll die here and become just another stepping stone in my path to becoming the strongest shinobi to ever live. Naruto crouched, one leg forward, arms angled in a ready stance. His grin widened as a sinister crimson energy seeped from his body, the air warping and cracking beneath his feet. The arena shuddered as if suffocating under the weight of his aura. You'll regret mocking me. When you're lying in the dirt, I'll carry your dream of being Hokage as nothing but your last memory. Akamaru, let's go. Kiba growled, tossing a soldier pill into his mouth and another to Akamaru. Their bodies swelled with power. His claws lengthened, his frame thickened, and Akamaru's fur burned crimson as he grew to the size of a wolf, saliva foaming at his jaws. With a snarl, Akamaru leapt onto Kiba's back. Kiba whipped smoke bombs from his pouch and hurled them down. Blue smoke erupted, swallowing Naruto's form from sight. Beast mimicry, man-beast clone, fang over fang, he shouted. The puppy was gone, replaced by a second Kiba. Two identical figures spun like living drills, claws and fangs gleaming, their combined whirlwinds tearing into the smoke cloud with reckless savagery. Inside the haze, Naruto stood unfazed, enhanced senses tracking every growl, every shift in the air. He slipped past a claw swipe aimed for his eyes, ducking and weaving through their assault. Acting pressured, he baited one of the Kibas closer, waiting for his moment to strike. Naruto waited with cold patience, tracking every movement with deadly focus. His eyes followed the blur of two shadows weaving through the smoke, one pair of eyes locked on Kiba while the other trailed Akamaru. He analyzed every twitch, every stumble, hunting for the single mistake that would end this exchange. Then, he saw it. Without hesitation, Naruto lashed out, his fist snapping forward like lightning. The strike connected with a sickening crunch, as the force of Kiba's own momentum amplified the blow, cartilage shattering under impact. Egg! Akamaru's pained cry rang out as he was blasted from the haze, rolling helplessly across the floor. The transformed hound barely managed to twitch, his body trembling as though he had collided with solid steel. Akamaru, damn it, are you okay? Kiba's frantic voice cracked with panic. He abandoned his advance, sprinting to his partner's side. Hands shaking, Kiba ripped gauze from his pouch and stuffed it into Akamaru's bleeding nose, trying to stop the flow. Akamaru growled faintly in response, giving just enough confirmation that he was still fighting. Kiba's eyes, however, never left the swirling smoke. His chest tightened as he realized Naruto wasn't rushing them. He wasn't even moving. He was waiting, baiting them, daring them to come back inside his territory. Damn bastard, Kiba thought bitterly, jaw clenched. How the hell did he get this strong so fast? Doesn't matter. We'll finish this fight no matter what. Kiba leaned closer to Akamaru, whispering, "We'll go together. I'll rush low, you strike from above. We pin him down and end this." Akamaru gave a weak bark of agreement. But Naruto had heard every word. His sharpened senses left no plan hidden. As Kiba lunged forward, claws aimed at Naruto's legs, Naruto moved with brutal precision. He leapt upward, then came crashing down, his knee slamming into Kiba's spine like a hammer. The ground cracked beneath them, Kiba's body forced into a crater. Before Kiba could even gasp, Naruto ripped a handful of food pills from his pouch, then drove a savage kick into his ribs, sending him skidding from the smoke. The sickening snap of bone followed. Akamaru dove from above in a spinning assault, but Naruto wove past it easily. His fists hammered into Akamaru's ribs midair, juggling the dog like a broken toy. Wrapping his arms around the flailing form, Naruto leapt high and slammed Akamaru into the ground with a pile-driving impact. The shockwave blew away the smoke, revealing the arena floor fractured beneath them. Naruto stood tall, bloodied fur dangling from his grip as he hauled Akamaru out of the hole by the scruff of his neck. Across the field, Kiba staggered to his feet, barely conscious. His chest burned with every breath, ribs screaming in agony. But what froze his blood wasn't the pain, it was the sight of Naruto, holding Akamaru's limp, battered body. His partner's white coat was soaked red, one eye swollen shut, paw twisted grotesquely out of place. "Put him Naruto, he's had enough," Kiba roared, stumbling forward despite his legs failing beneath him. Naruto's grin spread cruelly. "If you want him back so badly, then come take him." He shook Akamaru mockingly, eyes flashing with dark amusement. Then, with chilling calm, he pried Akamaru's jaws open and forced the food pills down his throat. "AKMARU," Kiba's scream cracked the air. The dog convulsed as Naruto tossed him skyward like discarded prey. Seizing the distraction, Naruto shot forward, his fist slamming into Kiba's jaw with a bone-breaking uppercut that sent him airborne. Catching his leg mid-flight, Naruto smashed him into the ground again and again, the thuds echoing like war drums. Blood spattered across the stone as Kiba's mind flickered in and out of awareness. Finally, Naruto hoisted him up by one leg, bringing Kiba face to face. What stared back at him was a mask of swollen flesh and blood. Kiba's teeth were broken, his nose bent, his body barely holding together. "You know something, Kiba?" Naruto said coldly. "They call us both genin, but we're not the same. Me, I'm the one who'll surpass every shinobi alive. You're just an insect underfoot. Still, you lasted longer than most. Be proud of that." Those were the last words Kiba heard before unconsciousness claimed him. Naruto tossed Kiba's broken body onto the waiting gurney as the medic nin rushed in. Without a care, he slapped Sakura's outstretched hand in victory, returning to his team's side where Sasuke and Kakashi greeted him. "Well done, Naruto," Kakashi remarked, his single eye narrowing slightly. "A little excessive, but this is the Chunin exams." Kiba knew what he was stepping into. His voice carried across the arena, ensuring every watching genin and sensei heard. Naruto leaned back, expression unreadable, until the next names were called. Rock Lee versus Gaara of the Sand. The match began with fists and kicks, Lee desperately weaving through Gaara's relentless shield of sand. The atmosphere shifted, heavy with anticipation. And Naruto watched, a flicker of intrigue in his eyes. "Kakashi-sensei, his sand isn't just sand, it's alive with chakra," Naruto said in a tone far more serious than usual, his eyes locked on the fight below. The statement made Kakashi, Guy, and the others glance at him curiously. Down in the arena, Lee flipped back before darting forward in a blur to attack again. "That much is obvious. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to control it," Sasuke muttered, his sharp eyes narrowing as he unknowingly voiced the same thought running through the Jonin's minds. Naruto shook his head. "No, it's not just his own chakra. There's something else mixed in, something that feels familiar, but I can't figure out where I've felt it before." His frown deepened with frustration at the unknown. The Jonin who overheard him exchanged wary looks. Kakashi even uncovered his Sharingan, while Guy leaned closer, silently trusting his rival's judgment. After a moment of observation, Kakashi sighed and covered his eye again. Whatever it is you're sensing, Naruto, it's not something I can see. To me, it looks like plain chakra. Lee landed gracefully on a statue after dodging several waves of sand. Seeing this, Guy decided it was time for his student to take things further. Lee, you may remove them, he said with quiet resolve. Excitement lit up Lee's face as he unwrapped the heavy weights hidden beneath his leg warmers. He held them up for everyone to see before dropping them. Gaara, expressionless as always, stood unmoving. The irony of the word love etched onto his forehead contrasted heavily with his cold demeanor. Naruto tilted his head with a grin. Man, I don't get why he's so happy just from taking off some weights. Don't even bother trying to understand those two, Kakashi muttered, tiredly rubbing the back of his head. The spectators waited, unimpressed, until the weights hit the ground. The resulting shockwave cracked the earth, rattling the entire arena. Gasps and wide eyes spread through the crowd. Even Orochimaru, Jiraiya, and the third Hokage raised their brows in surprise. They're completely insane, someone whispered. Naruto chuckled, eyes sparkling with anticipation. I'd kill to spar with Lee. If he's this fast with weights, and barely using chakra, then imagine him without them. In the blink of an eye, Lee launched himself at Gaara, moving several times faster than before. Guy shouted encouragement as murmurs of disbelief spread through the genin watching. Despite the blinding speed, Naruto tracked the movements easily, his sharp gaze dissecting every step. He noticed how Lee's strikes flowed, muscles tightening, feet planting, shoulders shifting. Naruto soaked it in eagerly, recognizing he'd have to sharpen his own taijutsu even more if he wanted to stand against someone like Lee. Thanks to his heightened focus, his mind processed everything in vivid detail. Lee's entire style was built on raw power delivered at incredible speeds. Meanwhile, Gaara adjusted, shifting his hands to control the sand with wider, more precise movements. What's he doing with those bandages? Naruto muttered aloud, drawing Kakashi's attention back to the fight. Naruto's sharp eyes caught it first. Lee connected with a brutal kick to Gaara's chin, launching him into the air before chaining together a barrage of devastating strikes. The force of each hit made the genin flinch as the echoes reverberated. Finally, the bandages unraveled from Lee's arms, ensnaring Gaara and slamming him into the arena floor. Naruto tilted his head in curiosity, glancing around. Kakashi and Guy were whispering to each other, while the genin looked on in awe. With a mischievous grin, Naruto decided to stir things up. Nice move from Sandboy, he said smugly. Too bad Lee's going to regret wasting all that effort on a substitution. Gasps of shock rippled around him. Team Guy looked horrified, turning back to the arena just in time to see Gaara emerge unharmed, sand swirling protectively around him. Tenten's jaw dropped. When did he? During the kicks, Kakashi explained, Sharingan still exposed. He switched out so fast even Guy missed it. He exhaled heavily. You should pull him out, Guy. Lee's body can't take much more. Guy clenched the railing, glaring at his rival before turning his worried eyes back to his student. But before he could speak, Naruto leaned back casually and cut in. Don't stop it. If you pull him out now, you'll crush his spirit more than any injury ever could. Guys like Lee, guys like me, we live for these battles where it's all or nothing. Win or die, no middle ground. He'd rather fall here than quit. Naruto's expression sharpened, goosebumps rising along his arms. Besides, looks like he's got another card to play. What's that feeling? Kakashi's gaze darkened, Sharingan spinning. The 8 gates Guy, you actually taught him that. His voice was harsh. If he keeps going, you'll destroy him. Guy didn't answer, his grip crushing the railing as he focused on his student with both fear and pride. You wouldn't understand. Not when talent just falls into your lap so easily, he spoke in a deep, steady voice. For people like us, every ounce of strength has to be scraped and earned. For Lee, it's even harsher. He can't use the simplest ninjutsu or genjutsu at all. His tone softened as he watched Lee, who was steadily gaining speed while pushing through the backlash of the primary lotus. Lee's only dream is to prove he can be an outstanding shinobi through effort alone. All I've ever done was give him every bit of support I could to make that dream real, he declared with pride. Naruto looked down at Lee, genuinely impressed by the boy's unshakable will. Every mark on Lee's body spoke of countless hours of blood, sweat, and determination, compensating for what others could achieve with ninjutsu or genjutsu. I'd say he's already proven it, bushy brow sensei, Naruto said with a small smile. Something I've learned recently is that growth isn't always slow and steady. It can come in sudden leaps, too. Lee's movements sharpened further, his body adjusting to the toll of opening the 8 gates. His eyes burned with resolve as green chakra blazed around him, each strike executed with flawless precision and overwhelming force, tearing the arena apart. Gaara poured more chakra into his sand, yet he was still driven back by Lee's relentless aerial assault. He's improving with every breath, Naruto observed with awe. He's already stronger than when this fight started. If this keeps up, he might just surpass everyone as the greatest taijutsu user the leaf has ever produced. Guy's eyes watered as he gazed down, voice full of gratitude. Thank you, Naruto. To hear that from you, I'll trust your instincts about Lee's limitless potential. Naruto grinned and raised a thumb. Leave it to me. The battle had become a mix of brilliance and terror for those in the stands. Lee's reckless use of 5 of the 8 inner gates opened Naruto's eyes to how much he still didn't understand about the world. His new vision showed him things more clearly, yet the connections were missing. He silently vowed to master every kind of combat and technique, to rise so high that no one could ever rival him, and the world itself would be forced to acknowledge his strength. But as the fight neared its end, Lee's body finally collapsed under the strain of the 5th gate, crashing to the ground, utterly spent. Gaara wasted no time, his sand lunging at the helpless boy, a sinister grin twisting his face. The Jonin, especially Guy, were about to leap in when a sudden blur appeared first. A shockwave ripped through the arena as the incoming sand was blown apart. Naruto stood there, hand brimming with dense chakra, swatting the sand away before it could crush Lee. He glanced at the battered boy with concern. He'd need weeks, maybe months, to recover. But had Gaara succeeded, Lee's story would have ended here. Hey, raccoon eyes, Naruto snapped, glaring at Gaara. You already won, you fought him. But I didn't get my turn, so don't you dare ruin it. Try anything else and I'll personally drag you to hell. His voice was sharp, his chakra leaking out in waves as he stood protectively over Lee. Gaara's breathing grew ragged. His chakra churned violently, instincts screaming as the beast inside him raged at Naruto's presence. Before things could spiral, Baki appeared in front of Gaara, clearly uneasy. At the same time, Guy and Kakashi landed before Naruto, their expressions tense. Naruto smirked, hefting Lee up. Relax, I had it handled. I'd have flattened these clowns myself. That sand Jonin looks pretty shaky just standing across from me. Kakashi exhaled in weary annoyance. Naruto, try not to start an incident with the sand. You already asked the Kazekige's daughter out, remember? Baki cut in quickly. This fight is over. Gaara returned to the stands with Temari and Kankuro. Somehow, his words pulled Gaara back, and the sand wrapped around him as he withdrew. Guy stepped forward, carefully taking Lee from Naruto. You did well, Naruto. I hesitated, but your decision saved him. If Gaara's sand had closed around Lee, his path would have ended here. His voice carried guilt as he held his nearly broken student. Kakashi patted Guy's shoulder before seizing Naruto and flickering them back to the stands. Next time, don't interfere. They might disqualify you, Kakashi warned lightly. Naruto scowled at the thought, frustration flaring his chakra unconsciously. The entire arena trembled under the weight of his presence. For the first time, the genin in the crowd felt the raw pressure of his chakra up close. Fear rooted them to their seats, while even the Jonin and the Hokage grew wary. Then, of all people, Sakura smacked him on the back of the head. Cut it out, idiot! You're scaring everyone. Her voice wavered, but her hand stayed steady, because deep down she still knew this was Naruto. Naruto's aura faded back to normal in an instant, leaving him glancing around with mild surprise. Huh, guess I forgot I was surrounded by weaklings. His words dripped with casual arrogance. Most of the onlookers, aside from Sasuke and a handful of Jonin, stared at him with wide, unsettled eyes. It wasn't the familiar hatred or distrust he grew up with this time, it was raw fear. And honestly, Naruto couldn't care less. Trying to make these people accept him felt as pointless as asking a storm to stop raging or a lion to live off grass. Only the strong had the right to face him. With a sudden leap, his eyes locked on the Hokage sitting in the high stands, next to another elderly man. Even though Kakashi was already following behind, Naruto wanted to confront the old man himself. He needed confirmation. Hiruzen, Jiraiya, and a select few kept track of Naruto's movements, though even they were stunned. The boy's speed rivaled seasoned Jonin. His steps weren't honed with years of training, but his mastery over chakra propelled him forward like a force of nature. Landing lightly on the railing, Naruto smirked down at the Hokage. His eyes narrowed with amusement, a spark of mischief flashing across his face. "Oi, old man, are the people here really so pathetic that I scare them this much? I don't get it." His voice carried loud enough for everyone below, deliberately twisting the knife, finding humor in their trembling expressions. That same mischievous streak of his, but paired with this kind of strength, it's a whole different beast, Hiruzen thought grimly. Normally, he would have cut such behavior short, but remembering Naruto's childhood, he felt the boy had earned some measure of respect. It was Jiraiya who answered instead. "You don't realize it, but your chakra presence is overwhelming. Most shinobi never encounter something like that, let alone kids this green." His voice was heavy with truth. He didn't add that only two individuals had ever unsettled him more with sheer chakra alone, the third Hokage, and Hanzo the salamander. Naruto tilted his head toward Jiraiya. "And who the hell are you supposed to be, old man?" he asked bluntly. Instead of offense, Jiraiya broke into a wide grin. "Who am I, you ask?" He struck a dramatic pose, preparing for his grand introduction. Before he could finish, Hiruzen cut in. "This is Jiraiya, one of my former students." Jiraiya collapsed in mock despair, sulking at the ruined entrance. Naruto studied him in silence, his sharp gaze dissecting the man until Jiraiya felt uncomfortably exposed. Just as he opened his mouth to speak, Naruto turned away. "So, he's just another old guy like you. Cool, I guess. Must mean you're strong, huh, geezer?" He quipped before vanishing back to his team in a blur. Jiraiya's grin faded into seriousness. "I don't know what's changed in him, but he's unlike anyone I've met. I only sensed traces of the nine tails, maybe 2 or 3 tails at most. It was like the rest was gone." His tone carried a weight of unease as he watched Kakashi lightly scold Naruto for his antics. Hiruzen puffed his pipe, voice steady. "Whatever this transformation is, it's unique to him. For now, let's consider it a gift. We'll need that strength soon, especially with Orochimaru lurking in the shadows." Jiraiya snorted. "Power like that means nothing if he doesn't grow up a little. Right now, he's just a brat with godlike strength." The Hokage chuckled. "He's always been a brat. Now he's one with frightening potential. You saw how he moved earlier. If he masters the basics of taijutsu and chakra control, he could surpass even us. We haven't even seen him fight at full tilt." Jiraiya exhaled slowly. "Honestly, I'd rank him above most Jonin already. Until we see his genjutsu and ninjutsu, it's hard to say, but only the strongest could stand against him right now." "Exactly," Hiruzen agreed. "Normally, I'd let you guide him freely, but from this moment forward, he stays with you. I don't want Danzo getting anywhere near him. That's the last thing we need." Jiraiya grimaced at the thought of lost, research time, but nodded. The reality was clear. Once word spread of Naruto's transformation, whispers would sweep through the entire continent. And with his whisker marks gone, his face now bore a striking resemblance to someone long forgotten. Things were about to change fast. In Jiraiya's estimation, they had maybe a month before every power in the shinobi world caught wind of Naruto's awakening. Meanwhile, the preliminaries wrapped up unnoticed by the elders. The victorious genin gathered as Hayate stepped forward. "We'll keep this simple. Draw a number, 1 fights 2, and so on. Naruto Uzumaki, step forward." Naruto casually picked his slip. "Number 1. He smirked. The rest followed. Kankuro drew against Shino. Shikamaru was matched with Temari. Dasu landed the final number, securing him a free pass. Sasuke revealed his number with a small smirk. It was 3. He had hoped for number 2 to clash with Naruto, but instead fate had set him against Neji. Hyuga versus Uchiha, the clash of Dijutsu titans. Sasuke's fists clenched, his focus sharp. Hayate's voice carried over the group. "These are the first-round matches for the finals. You all have 1 month to train and prepare. Don't take this lightly." As the crowd dispersed, Naruto made a detour, striding right up to the Sand siblings. His grin was all confidence. Temari, don't think I forgot our deal. I even gave you a little show. He waggled his eyebrows, ignoring the glare Temari shot his way. I remember, she replied coolly. You won without letting the mutt touch you, so a deal's a deal. Meet me in a week at Konoha's Hills. I'll bring a training schedule, and you'd better have our plans ready. She turned on her heel, pretending not to notice his flirtatious smirk, as Kankuro and Baki followed behind. Gaara, however, didn't budge. His voice was low and venomous. Naruto Uzumaki, mother craves your blood. She'll have it soon. Enjoy your last days before I erase you. His pale eyes burned with unrestrained hunger for violence. Naruto's laughter rang out, sharp and mocking. His grin dropped into a deadly serious glare. Gaara, I should be the one saying that. You're nothing but another fish in a tiny pond, and I'm the chef ready to gut you and strip you bare. Neither boy said another word. One vanished to prepare for the month ahead. The other retreated into shadows, driven by the insatiable bloodlust of the monster inside.